Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today I am playing a real Dinosaur Reanimator list. Recently I played a few different types of decks. I played regular dinosaurs, I played Rakdos Aggro Reanimator, but in this one I am playing a list that I've seen the Nostalgic Necro play a whole bunch of times. A real Zombify, Foggy Swamp Visions, Gishath Reanimator deck. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Before I talk a little bit about the deck, help the channel grow, sub up if you haven't done so already, and let me know what you think about zombifying a Gishath. So what is going on in this deck? Well, it's pretty simple. We have some of the best dinosaurs that are available to us in Standard. We got the Palani Hatcher, gives everything haste. We have the Trumpeting Carnosaur, which is going to discover 5. Vault-Born Tyrant, just a big 6/6 trampler, going to draw us a whole bunch of cards. Gishath, one of our main Reanimator targets. We're going to come back to this one and talk about it in a second. And of course, Ghalta, the other main Reanimator target. So this deck is running 4 copies of Zombify. Very simple card, reanimate a card from our graveyard to the battlefield. We're also playing a new card from Avatar, Foggy Swamp Visions. This one's actually cheaper than Zombify, but it comes with a slightly extra cost. This is as an additional cost to cast the spell, Waterbend X. Now, whereas the Zombify just puts the permanent on the field permanently, Foggy Swamp Vision says exile X target creature cards from graveyards. That's important because we can also hit our opponent's graveyards, but we definitely want to be hitting our own graveyard. For each creature card exiled this way, create a token copy of it. Then at the beginning of your next end step, sacrifice those tokens. So there are a couple of important things with this Foggy Swamp Visions. If we just reanimate, a Vault-Born Tyrant or a Trumpeting Carnosaur, it's not going to do anything because it's just going to hit the field, doesn't have haste, can't attack in, doesn't do much of anything. However, if we reanimate a Ghalta Stampede Tyrant, this 12/12 allows us to put all of the, or any number of creatures cards from our hand onto the battlefield. So if we can reanimate a Ghalta, we can just slam down all these big dinosaurs that are in our hand and go to town. If Palani Hatcher is among those dinosaurs, then even that Ghalta will get haste and we can attack in with the full board. So this is one of our prime targets that we want to be reanimating. The other prime target is going to be Gishath, Sun's Avatar. This thing is a 7/6 Vigilance, Trample, Haste creature. So it's fine to reanimate this one with the Foggy Swamp Visions. I forgot what it was called. Because then if we attack in, whenever Gishath deals combat damage to a player, reveal that many cards from the top of our library and put any number of dinosaurs revealed among those cards onto the battlefield. That's pretty cool. So if we hit the opponent for the full 7, we look at the top 7, we are probably going to hit 2 or 3 dinosaurs at minimum. We might even hit a Ghalta, for example, and be able to slam all this stuff out. The cool thing about this card is that this one comes out on turn 3. Yes, it is requiring Waterbend, but we are playing 4 copies of Melded Moxite and 4 copies of Shahili's Lattice. Both of these cards are artifacts. We're going to put them out on turn 2. These are the main ways that we're getting Gishath and Ghalta into our graveyard. So when this enters, we discard a card, then we draw 2 cards. The idea is, of course, turn 1, we do whatever we want. Turn 2, we put out one of these 2 artifacts, discard the Gishath or the Ghalta, and then turn 3, we can Foggy Swamp Visions for a huge board. We also have Bitter Triumph in the deck. This allows us to discard in a pinch, and of course it's a little bit of removal. And never forget that Trumpeting Carnosaur does have the ability to be discarded and deal 3 damage to any creature or planeswalker. So that is the deck. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. We're going to see if we can reanimate a whole bunch of boards on turn 3 or turn 4 at the latest, and then just stomp all over our opponents in a cool dinosaur fashion. See you over in the games. All right, trying to reanimate some dinosaurs against King of Fox in Standard. Opening hand looks okay. I want this Moxite to draw me into some better creatures and maybe another land, but I have a feeling we might be okay. We don't care about this one. Put it in tapped, say hello to the opponent, and say hello to all you wonderful people who have tuned in. If you skipped the introduction, hello. Thanks for joining me today. Sub up if you haven't done so already. Sorry to repeat it to all those people who did watch the introduction, but hey, I want to hit that 2,000 subscriber mark. We're getting closer and closer every day, so I appreciate all the people joining up. Okay, we find our 3rd land. Not our fourth one yet, but we don't need 4, actually. What am I saying? We only need 3. Now, the scary thing is they are on Kavaro, and I don't know how this Reanimator goes against that Reanimator. What do they find? A Vein Ripper. Okie dokie. Well, I suppose when you have the opportunity to Foggy Swamp Visions, you do it, right? Even though, I mean, I could take their thing. No, we'll go with this. It kind of sucks because I'm not getting haste on it, but I am going to be putting a Vaultborn Tyrant and a Trumpeting Carnosaur onto the field. Now I'm pausing because should I be using my Foggy Swamp Visions offensively or defensively, I guess? Let's do it. Let's draw some cards because this is going to give me Vaultborn Tyrant plus Trumpeting Carnosaur goodness. I get to draw 2 cards here. Gain a little bit of life. Okay. Put it into my hand. So, hey, we found another Foggy Swamp Visions. That's good news. So, 13 power on the board against their 18 life is pretty good. We have more melded Moxites to discard maybe a few more things. And then we can also use this Foggy Swamp Visions if I really want to get rid of like a... I always forget the nasty demon. The nasty one. Okay, let's attack. So we're not doing the coolest thing. Of course, you want to just like do the OTK with this deck, but this is the second coolest thing, I guess. They hit my poor Trumpeting Carnosaur, and they get rid of the Bringer of the Last Gifts. So, here's the situation. If they do Bringer, they're going to get back a Vein Ripper and the Bringer. If I discard my Vaultborn Tyrant, I get Vaultborn Tyrant and Trumpeting Carnosaur back, and this thing will die, but this thing will leave behind a token. So I think they're actually not really in a position where they can comfortably hurt us with Kavaro. So I'm actually kind of fine with them Kavaroing. We did not hit a land there. I really wanted a land so I could then do this one more time. I don't want that. And then get rid of one more card. But I think this is going to be fine. We're going to put a pretty good number of cards onto the field here. And then next turn, if we find a land, we can actually go Melded Moxite, discard the Palani Hatcher, and Foggy Swamp Vision back the Palani Hatcher and a Vaultborn Tyrant that will die if they do the Kavaro this turn. So we got actually a lot of different lines going on with this deck. I think this deck actually is probably a lot more complicated than I am going into this deck expecting. You kind of think like, oh, it's so easy. You just discard Ghalta, you discard Gishath, and you reanimate it and you slam. But then there are all these like weird, intricate lines depending on the matchups like this one. So let's see if the opponent ends up going with the Kavaro. They are doing the Kavaro thing. So I think I'm coming out on top on this one. I'm going to have 3 nasty dinosaurs on the field. They're going to have 2 cards. They were on top of it. Good on the opponent. Heads up play from the opponent. And we find our land, but it is the worst land in Standard. Okay. I think I'm still okay doing this because I think this is how I win the game. Palani Hatcher, we need an untapped land. It doesn't matter what the land is, but we need an untapped land here. Okay. And we can do this for X2. Let me not be so hasty. I'm going to get this back, trample, that's going to be good. I think it's enough damage. I'm not going to count it out. Tease me in the comments. There's no point in grabbing... You know what? Let's hedge our bets here, actually. Because I can do this for X3. So what this does is allows me to grab their Bringer and these 2. So now I'm just exiling the Bringer as, like, extra sauce here. Even though the Bringer is not going to be able to attack in, it's now gone from their graveyard. And we draw a bunch of cards. Oh, yeah, we discover. That's fine. That's fun. That is fun. We get to discard the Gishath, I guess, because I'm not going to be able to... Yeah, that's a lot of cards. We also get to crack an egg, and we slam with everything. Is this lethal, though? There's no point in slamming with the 0-1. We get 13 points of damage through exact lethal damage going in on the opponent. Okay, that's an okay, fun way to start, and we have their bringer of the last gift on our side of the field. All right, it got me smiling. Early morning smiles for your boy over here. All right, let's keep going. Game number 2. Let's keep rolling with these dinosaurs. Man, you love starting off with a win against that deck. Okay, opening hand, this is what we want to see. It is a turn 4 Zombify, not a turn 3 Foggy Swamp Visions. But hey, I'll take a turn 2, and we're against mono red, which I think means we're probably in pretty good shape here. It doesn't matter what land I put out here. Saheeli onto the field, and I think we are going the Gishath. Do you go Ghalta route or Gishath route? I think you go the Ghalta, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. We get another Zombify. So Ghalta is going to come down, then I can put out the Gishath, so we're going to get both. Right? You do it that way just to get the 2 for 1. And if we end up finding the Foggy Swamp Visions off the top here, we could have gone even harder. So starting town is our 4th land, exactly what we needed. Bitter Triumph is going to allow us to do this now. Let's just get rid of the Emberheart Challenger. And I think I don't need... What are the chances that I need 2 Zombifies? Pretty low, right? But why do I need 2 Ghaltas? Yeah, okay, let's get rid of a Ghalta. So next turn, we will Zombify into Ghalta, into Gishath, swing in with Gishath, hit them for 7. If they allow us, I imagine an Insta-Scoop is probably on its way. And I'm sure we will find some wonderful toys to play with this Ghalta, or Gishath, rather. Palani... I was just going to say, a Palani would be absolutely bonkers off the top, and that is a Palani. This is the actual, like, one of the actual dreams. Okay. I was a little bit scared because the opponent had the exiled Slickshot Show Off down to 14 life. It's very possible that they could have just OTK'd us on the next turn. We probably needed that Palani off the top to be able to close out the game. But swinging in with a pretty good board there. What is that, 22 damage? More than that, 27? 27, okay. Count the math for a minute. Next one. All right, things are going well. I understand why the Nostalgic Necro is playing this deck so often. It is a whole lot of fun. Opening hand is interesting. I think you keep this hand. You only have 2 opening lands, but you have both of your discard cards. You have plenty of things that you're not plenty. You don't really want to put these in the graveyard so much. You definitely just want to mostly put your Gishaths in your Ghalta. Palani is not bad because bringing out the Palani with the Foggy Swamp Visions is always a good idea. So now we're in good shape here. Let's see if we can hit a turn 2. Ooh, and the opponent is not really going to be playing anything to stop us from doing what we're doing. The only thing that they might be playing player removal, which is what I have to be a little bit careful about. This Gishath is probably going to have to hit very hard. Not probably, definitely going to have to hit very hard. Thankfully, this Arabella is attacking just by herself. They didn't have the follow-up thing for it. I wonder what this is. Doorkeeper Thrall. That's bad, but it's not the end of the world for me. Okay, so let's do it on It Doesn't Matter. Pay 2 life. Foggy Swamp Visions for X1. We get our Gishath, and Gishath, let's see you hit something good. Ghalta is not going to work because this Doorkeeper Thrall is going to be turning off Ghalta's Enter the Battlefield effect. So this Doorkeeper Thrall actually is kind of a problem, and maybe I could have maybe you could make the argument that maybe I shouldn't have done the Gishath, so... Yikes. Yikes. I guess it had to happen, right? Oh, no. I was going to say maybe I should have hit the Doorkeeper Thrall with the Trumpeting Carnosaur. But I... Now what I need to do is I need to hit... I don't know what to do anymore. This needs to hit the Arabella, because the Arabella is like literally just going to kill us on the next turn if I don't get rid of it. And... Am I just dead? What do we need off the top? We need Foggy Swamp Visions, but even that's not going to be enough. They hit me for another 3. We're down to 6. Arabella. It is a Foggy Swamp Visions, but it doesn't actually do anything. So I can do this. Doorkeeper's Thrall also turns off artifacts. GG, opponent. Turns out we found the card that absolutely shuts down our deck. Also, Ghalta going 07 doesn't help matters, but that's a whole different thing. All right. Of course, Doorkeeper Thrall hits the artifacts. I guess I put out this mock site before this one came down, so I forgot that was a thing. Boom, boom, boom. There was nothing we could do, right? Putting this out, I didn't have any other playables. I guess I could have brought back a Trumpeting Carnosaur for no value. Next one. I just got a message from a friend, and I would love some people to weigh in on this one. Let me read it verbatim. Lorwyn sucks. I guess I'll see what he means later on, but I was not expecting to get an early morning message saying Lorwyn sucks. He is primarily an EDH player, to be fair. Which I don't know. What do you guys think about Lorwyn? I think all the spoilers. By the time this video is out, all the spoilers will have been released. I think they're probably already out for me as well. We need some dinosaurs from this mock site, so we'll get rid of the Ghalta. Oh, we got 1 dinosaur. Now we need more lands for the Zombify. Yeah, the set looks okay to me. I don't think it is too bad. Okay, we'll put this out because it doesn't really matter, and the Vaultborn Tyrant is okay to put into my hand. Now, we are against Kavaro again, and they did put the Bringer of the Last Gift into the graveyard. So, are we just going to be in a position where it's a standoff? I don't know if they're going to try to Kavaro next turn. Waken the Honored Dead is super fine. So yeah, I think probably what's happening here is... I have an interesting line here. I have the Bitter Triumphs that will allow me to discard the Palani Hatcher and the Vaultborn Tyrant. So if I am predicting that they are going to Kavaro, I can, in response, discard a bunch of stuff. Actually, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because I have my Ghalta. They bring back the Ghalta, and then I just go from there. So I think I'm actually in an okay position. If they tap out here, then we can go and do some cool stuff. So I'm fine with this, right? Pay 3 life, kill the Arden, and I think they're dead. Oh yeah, they're very dead. They're very, very dead. So guess what? Dinosaur Zombify confirmed, better than Kavaro. Kavaro Zombify. Crack an egg. Oh, good opponent. Let me swing in. I appreciate it. Jukai. Hey. Pretty cool. Would we have been in more trouble had we not killed the... What were they going to bring back? Maybe just the Bringer? Yeah, not a big deal. Next one. Back to the thing about Lorwyn, I got a little bit distracted, slamming my opponent with a giant Ghalta. Ooh, okay, we don't have ways of putting things into the graveyard, but we do have the Ghalta. I think this is a bad hand. As much as, yeah, we definitely need the Moxites in that. This is a worse hand. Okay, finally we're running into a hand, or some hands that are giving us issues. I think I gotta throw both of them back, and I gotta keep this, even though it is really bad. So if we keep the two Palanis, I think no, I gotta keep one of the Trumpeting Carnosaurs to have a little bit of removal in my hand. Yeah. And this theater needs to hit really well. I think I don't need it. I think I need a Moxite. Uh, Lorwyn. Lorwyn, commander stuff. My friend saying not too excited about Lorwyn. I get it. The set, it looks fine. I haven't taken the time to actually like look over all of the cards yet. But for what I've seen, I think it looks fine. But maybe that's more of a standard player's perspective. As for like Commander, what do you guys think about those precons? I've kind of been waffling back and forth on whether or not I want to grab one of those precons. They look okay. The minus, I don't know how I feel about the themes. Like, I'm not a big elementals player. I'm not a big -1/-1 counters player. So like both of the themes in the decks, and in general the themes in the set, are not super interesting to me, but they're not bad. Yeah, I would love to hear what some of you think, if you are purchasing any products or just not bothering. uh, we're toast, right? The best thing I can do here is smoke the Lightstall Inquisitor with the Trumpeting Carnosaur. Maybe next turn I find a land and I can bring the Trumpeting Carnosaur back. Trumpeting Carnosaur can discover 5, and maybe that can get me going. But I think we're in a pretty bad position. We're going to be getting hit by this Spellbook Vendor for 8, 9, 10. They could probably find one more point of damage here. Yeah, okay. So nice quick game from... Hey, Auras. Auras always seems to show up in these videos, and it's like, hey, did you forget about me? I'm actually still the best deck in Standard, or at least one of the best decks. You give this deck like 1 minute, and they just destroy you. I probably should have just saved the Trumpeting Carnosaur to remove whatever they were giving hexproof to, but I was too busy talking about Lorwyn Commander stuff. But there's a high... What I did... The reason I took that out there was because they were tapped out, and I was afraid of Shard Mage's Rescue, but I didn't give it time to think. Give me time to think. We got 2 more. Speaking of Commander, I guess I'm kind of in a chatty mood this morning. I got a lot of stuff to talk about. Oh... Again, one of these weird opening hands. I really want the Moxite so I can... You know what? I think this is an okay one because we have the Bitter Triumph to be able to get rid of the Gishath, and then we can go for a Foggy Swamp Visions potentially on turn 3 or 4 if we find a land or another way of tapping something. Yeah. I've been actually kind of getting back into paper Commander. My decks are basically decks that I've had since... tapped, it doesn't matter. Since I've had since like 2019, 2020. Maybe I did some updating on those decks when during COVID, that period. But for the most part, I have not really been doing too much with Commander stuff. Okay. I mean, the Melded Moxite was like the ideal draw for us. And yeah, we're good. But I finally started playing a little bit more over Spell Table, having a good time, and been purchasing cards, or at least looking into purchasing cards. Disappointing. We were going to do the cool thing. No, I'm not having fun. This one doesn't count. I'm debating whether or not I want to cut that last game. You know what? I think I'm going to leave it in. I made a note, like, cut it. But you know what? I'm going to leave it in, because if you're playing this deck, I think you have to know that there's a very good chance that when your opponents see... the Ghalta in the graveyard and they know they don't have like any kind of interaction against it, they're just gonna throw in the towel. Okay, our opponent is on Kona, and yeah, we want our Gishath, so we need to be faster than them, and the problem is we're just not faster than them. But next turn we get to draw the Gishath, we get to play out our Lattice and discard that card Although now, ugh, does that mean that they're going to counter this? I guess it's possible. It could also just be a draw spell, but if they're aware of our deck, they counter this. I think if you do go up against anybody that's playing like a Lattice, you have to be aware that this is like the key card in the deck and it enables so much. So counter your Lattice. I should have thrown away the Ghalta again. I'm sitting here thinking about too many different things. I was thinking about card prices and how expensive Commander products are. So as I mentioned, I mostly bought cards like I was mostly into Commander like 2017, 2018, 2019, that time period. And so I mostly bought my cards during those periods. Maybe I should have gone for it. And the card prices were a lot cheaper then. I'll tell you, nowadays, oh boy, card prices are way higher than I ever would have expected them to be. Okay, the opponent fully knows what we're up to. We threw a Zombify into the graveyard, so they know that we probably have another Zombify in hand. I'm kind of expecting the Kona on the next turn. If they have the Kona into the Omniscience, we're toast. I didn't want to run out my Gishath into untapped mana there. Again, I kind of just got to do it, right? We have so much mana. Is it Zombify or Foggy Swamp Visions? Let's go with the Zombify first. Try to get the Ghalta onto the field. I think this is going to get countered. It's not even a good Ghalta. Actually, I don't know. I misplayed this one so much. I'm sitting here thinking about too many other things. And even if this Ghalta gets onto the field, what is it really doing? I'm kind of happy. I'm kind of glad that they countered it because we need to go through one of their counters at the very least. We want Gishath on the field. I should never have thrown away the Gishath. I should have only thrown away the Ghalta. But I'm pretty sure this game was just a loss because Kona, they had the Evendo on the field. They have counter magic. I think this is actually even a worse matchup than the Kavaro matchups for us. But we'll see. Maybe there's still some hope. Okay, breeding pool. That's not a Kona. Consult the star charts. Okay, so you're telling me there's a chance here. So I think what we do this turn is we Shahili's Lattice. We try to find some more action. We have so many lands in hand. We can definitely discard one of them. We need to find the Palani. If we find the Palani, we get lucky and we get out of this. It's not a Palani. Okay. Well, we still do the Foggy Swamp Visions X2. And we grab both of these. Sure, auto pay. And both of these hit the field. Unfortunately, it's not really doing anything. We do get to keep this Ghalta. We get to draw a bunch of cards. That's a lot of lands. And we get to hit for a cool 7. But I have a feeling that we are probably cooked on the next turn. Yeah, cast it. Sure. Don't need a starting town. Absolutely useless. Another Ghalta. Okay. Okay, board looks good. We get rid of our multiversal passive. We don't care. So now they just need to have the Kona, start bouncing everything. If they have the Kona, if they have the Omniscience. Sure. And now, do we sit here, take a bit of a break maybe while this deck does its thing? I don't want to give them the satisfaction of just like scooping up right away because, you know, this deck. I don't. No, I want to make them have it, but I also don't want to waste my time. Okay, well, they have the double Morang River Regent. They should bounce one of theirs. Yeah, okay. So in this case, we can scoop it up. Frankie, you got it. It is what it is. That's a tough one. I think finding the opportunity to get the reanimation down and then obviously them just having the Kona plus Lost in the Maze. I mean, what can we really do? All right, I think this is going to be kind of the official game 7 because I had that one game where the opponent just like didn't do anything. I'm not counting that one. Oh man, if that Ghalta were a Gishath, I would feel a lot more comfortable about this hand, but it's not. Man, oh man. If anybody's made it to this point in the video, I would love, if you played this deck, I would love some feedback on what kind of hands you want to keep. Ooh, Artifacts or Azorius Control. Gonna be tough matchups, I think. But yeah, do you keep a hand like this? Like, we have our way of discarding, we have our reanimation target, and we have our reanimation, but we don't have any payoff from the Ghalta. So like the Ghalta on its own hitting the field, not going to be overly fantastic. Yeah, this needs to be black. It's tough. I'm not really sure how to go about this. And now that we're up against Jeskai Black. Jeskai Black always giving me problems. It's still the deck. I think it might be the deck that I hate the most. How do you feel about draw go? Because that's what this is, right? It's the draw go, draw go, draw go. And it's just so tedious to play against, I think is probably the best way to describe this deck. We found all of our action, but unfortunately against this opponent, that's not what we want to see because we don't have any way of putting this Bitter Triumph into the graveyard. Although, or sorry, casting the Bitter Triumph to put something into the graveyard. Now we're up to 8 cards in hand, so we get the classic discard maneuver. Just fill up your hand and discard down to hand size way of getting cards into the graveyard. So it's Ghalta, right? Yeah. And now we're looking for our opening to get the Zombify out. We'd also need to find the Palani. But what are the chances that they're going to tap out and give us that opening? How you don't? So of course, Rest in Peace is like the card that's gonna kill us. How often do you run into main board Rest in Peace and Best One? Not that often. I'm not playing against that opponent right now. That deck is just going to beat us pretty much, 99 times out of 100. All right, so we're seeing the cracks in the plan of playing a deck that is not a meta deck, because once you run into tuned meta decks like Jeskai Black or the Kona Omniscience deck, your whole game plan just like absolutely crumbles. And I mean, I've talked about this many times in comments and also with friends. Right now, Standard feels so it feels outrageously unbalanced. And what I mean by outrageously unbalanced is that there are like 3,000 or 4,000 cards in Standard. I don't know how many cards are in Standard, but it's an outrageous amount of cards that are available in Standard. And most of them, the vast majority of them, are completely unplayable. And I think a lot of you will probably say, well, that's always the way it is. You're always going to have your trash cards that just aren't playable. And yeah, I agree. But I feel like the gap between the S tier card and the A tier card, basically there has been an erosion of the middle class, which, dude, reflecting life. You have your S tier stuff, and your S tier stuff is so far beyond that there is no A, B, or C tier. It's just like D tier stuff after that. That's the way it kind of feels. Of course, I'm exaggerating to an extraordinary degree, but it definitely feels like things are just too wonky these days. I actually need this mountain, right? No. We have that. So I have a Ghalta in the graveyard, a Trumpeting Carnosaur. I'm going to be searching for like a Ghalta and a reanimation spell. And unfortunately, we're only finding like all Trumpeting Carnosaurs, all Gishaths for some reason. The repurposing bay means that they're going to be able to go and get their Simulacrum now. So they're going to start pumping out robots. No, a second repurposing bay. Okay, well, we get the Foggy Swamp Visions. So, Foggy Swamp Visions makes me wish I put this in there now. I think we just do it, right? You do it for X1, and then you just pull out the Gishath, because there's no point in pulling out the Trumpeting Carnosaur. Oh, no, there is. We have the mana. We may as well pull the Trumpeting Carnosaur out of the graveyard because it has Discover 5. And Discover 5 means it could potentially hit a Palani Hatcher. Instead, it hit the Zombify. Zombify goes into our hand, so we do get to swing in with the Gishath. Come on, baby, hit me something big. Okay. That's what we want to see. Boom, boom. And that means we load up this field because there is probably nothing that the opponent can do about this. We keep the Gishath that is new, and that's the win that you want to see. Whew, okay, back up to plat 3. I think that's an okay way to end the video, especially after getting slammed by Kona and Jeskai. Next, wrap up. Alright, so this 4-color Dinosaur Reanimator list is a whole lot of fun to play. Ended up, in the end, going 10 and 7. Yes, 10 and 7, wanted to make sure. And a couple of bad losses in there, of course. Sometimes the deck just doesn't agree with you, and you just can't quite find the pieces. But I do find it is more consistent than other Reanimator decks that I have played in the past. It's surprising how often you're able to get a Moxite or a Lattice onto the field on turn 2 and go into a Foggy Swamp Vision. Of course, all of it is depending on the opponent's interaction with you. So if they are slamming down Rest in Pieces, which doesn't happen all that often, but if it does happen, you are absolutely cooked. There's nothing in this deck that allows you to get rid of the Rest in Peace, and then you're kind of stuck slamming down turn 5, turn 6 honest dinosaurs, and I don't think that's going to work. We also saw that the Doorkeeper Thrall is some very, very good tech against you. However, I do feel like that game, I could have won that game had I either done one of 2 other options that I had. One, I could have used the Trumpeting Carnosaur and waited one more turn to hit the Doorkeeper Thrall. That was a choice. I could have been a little bit more patient. Number 2, I could have just hit some cards off of the Gishath instead of completely whiffing 0 and 7. But you know what? It makes for a good video. You have to have some of those moments in one of these videos. Otherwise, you saw what it does. The deck just slams cards down. Probably the card that's the biggest all-star, the secret all-star outside of the reanimation stuff, is the Palani Hatcher. Being able to put all of your stuff on the field and immediately give everything haste is such a huge upside, something that you have to look into doing. So don't undervalue your Palani Hatcher if you do end up playing this outrageously expensive deck. Did I mention that before? This deck is going to be a little bit heavy on the rares. Foggy Swamp Visions, unfortunately, is a rare card, and then of course all the dinosaurs are going to be rares or mythics. So if you are lucky enough to craft something like this, you can have some fun with it. It's a pretty neat deck, and it is entertaining to play. I think I actually am going to just play it casually in my free time because I do kind of like it. If you do have any suggestions for ways of improving the deck, I would love to hear that. This deck is a little interesting, playing the Melded Moxite and the Saheeli Lattice, 2 cards that I don't see all decks playing, but I do like this approach with the Foggy Swamp Visions. So that's it for this one. Take care for now. I hope you enjoyed the video. Salamat ipon na, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.